Good afternoon. Welcome to Old View Farm. Wanted to talk a little bit about failing. And like Gabe Brown says, you should try to fail at something every day. And we sure are pretty good at that. Looking out across the street here, if you can see these kind of on contour rows of shrubs there, those are hazelnuts. And that planting was actually designed by Mark Shepard. If you don't know who he is, sort of a foundational figure in regenerative agriculture, focused on perennial tree crops. Big fan of his work, and pretty excited to have some of it so close by. Last year we helped a little bit with the harvest on that for our neighbor, and out of that, Nikki got a whole bunch of the nuts themselves that she was able to plant in her air prune bed, and that worked pretty nice. We were able to get some seedlings, and I got a row of them right there. Not quite on contour, but close counts. And yeah, I showed this in my last video. We're trying to put some windbreaks in, some plantings to get a little more variety, a little more texture in this field here, and provide some shelter, some forage, maybe eventually be able to run some pigs and feed them on nuts. Well, we are protecting them with these tree tubes. There's a few more over there, right there, if you can see those. We got a bunch of tree tubes from a friend of ours up the road that had done a big permaculture planting years ago, and it was no longer needed the protection of the tubes. And we thought that would be adequate protection for these plants, but apparently when you've got goats and sheep and dogs and a llama, you have to put in a little more substantial protection. And so Nikki came out and found the tubes all torn up yesterday afternoon, and it's kind of hard to find them, but we think the little baby hazelnut sticks are all pretty much gone. So easy come, easy go. And it'd be easy to get discouraged or frustrated when that kind of thing happens, but when you're working with animals, you kind of have to expect it, and you kind of got to be willing to roll with the punches and adapt to changing situations. So live and learn. We either need to put some temporary hot wire around our plants or get a little more robust protection in place before we graze that area. So live and learn. The other fun thing is that sweet potato here, or little black goat with the white spot on her head, was outside of this fence yesterday. She had gotten through it somehow. I'm guessing she bumped into it, got shocked, and went forward. Just went right between the wires. Probably got a good shock in the process. But usually when that happens, you see the wires pulled off the stakes or stakes knocked over. There's some evidence. This time she was just happily grazing right next to the wire outside in the ungrazed area here, and yeah, it wasn't too hard to get her back in. We brought a little grain out, and she followed Aubrey right under the fence as Nikki was lifting it up. But it's one of those things. Still training the goats to hot wire, and it's going to be a process. Just glad we got our perimeter all finished on this 26 acres. Turned out really nice, and oh, here comes Nikki on our way back from doing maple syrup. So here's another set of those hazelnuts, and it's gonna be in our next paddock here. We're setting up the line for the next paddock moving forward. So what we're going to do is add a little bit more posts and wire and put a little protective poly wire around that, so hopefully the animals don't rip the tree stakes off, or the tree tubes off, and eat our hazelnuts this time. So, since the theme of this video is about things we failed at, I wanted to talk a little bit about the struggles we've had with these reels, these Taragate reels with the poly braid on it. For the first 6 months, we were having the hardest time reeling these things up. They would jump off and get tangled up around here, and we'd have to stop what we're doing and spend some time unwinding it and getting it all untangled. Well, what nobody told us is there's a right way and a wrong way to hold these things. And the way I'm holding it right now is the wrong way, with the guide facing down. And that is going to cause all kinds of problems as you try to wind it up. It's going to jump around, it's going to skip over here and get all tangled up in here. If you don't notice it right away, it can be a pretty big pain to untangle it. The right way is like this. Reeling it with my right hand, holding it with my left, and this guide is facing forward. Oh my goodness, what a difference that makes when you're trying to wind one of these up. So we thought it was just us, you know. We thought, boy, we're watching, you know, Greg Judy videos, and they're winding everything up real quick and easy and making it look easy, and that was the thing. That was the thing we were missing. We were holding them upside down and spending way too much time untangling them. So there you go, little tip on something we failed at for 6 months before we figured it out.
Go.
All right, so I'm going to set up our corner here and get ready to fence off this next paddock. What we're going to do is just go on this side of the hazelnuts, and then we'll make a bigger paddock on the next move, and we're going to put a couple strands of wire right around the middle around those hazelnuts. And we won't have a line running out to make it hot. We're just going to hope that the animals are well trained enough not to run through there. And we'll see. Maybe that's another mistake we'll talk about in the next video. But what I do with these corners, I take one of these white posts. I take my, well, this is not an O'Brien stepping post. It's a very similar kind of post, but not as durable, I'll say. And I hook it in there just like that, and then twist. And it goes around, and I get them kind of locked together there. And then I can take this one, the vertical, put that in first, and take the brace, stick it in like that. It gives you a nice sturdy end post to work from. So we'll go ahead and stick the rest of our stakes in here, and then we will run the line. Now we're going to put our reel up. We got all our posts in, our 2 end posts. I'm going to run a 3-wire fence here. That's what we've been doing for our sheep and goats. Working pretty well. So first thing I'm going to do is, without touching this hot fence behind me, get around here and just hook it on, wrap it around a couple times so it locks in place. Then I can start, of course I got my brake off, that's important. And then I can start unreeling the wire. And this is the other big tip we had. Is if you start doing this, you tend to do this, and it tends to jump off the end. So I found if I hold my reel perpendicular to my fence and use my other hand to guide out the wire, I can keep it consistently coming out of the middle of the reel instead of off the side, and it tends to not jump off the reel, and everything flows pretty nicely. I'm going second rung from the bottom here for this first pass. Put that on. Kind of stomp down this chicory and stuff that might get in the way. And clean that all up a little bit better as I'm coming back the other direction. Now, once again, not touching the hot fence on this side, just gonna push it on this white post and come back, same thing in the other direction. This time we're gonna go top of this middle section, or the 5th one from the ground.
Making sure they're tight, like banjo twine.
Yeah, you got to kind of keep your tension as you go. You don't want it to slack up or you'll have a hard time pulling it back and forth. Yeah, third wire. We're going second from the top. Seems to be working pretty good with all these species. Okay, now that we're at the end, I'm gonna hook it on my white post here. Oops. Then I'm gonna loop this over top of the reel, put my brake on, kind of take some of that slack up, and I'm just gonna hook it on that pigtail and rest it against this O'Brien post, and that keeps the wire from hitting this down there. Then all I got to do is put on my alligator jumpers here. So I'll do my cold fence first because that's less likely to get myself, and then we are hot. There you have it. That's our 3-wire paddock division all set up. So there you have it. Got our next paddock set up for tomorrow. Got our hazelnuts. We'll bring some extra posts to protect those when we set up our paddock shift tomorrow. But for today, everybody's happy. They're all grazing. We got water and mineral dog food down on the other end. Sun is shining. It's close to 50 degrees out here in Wisconsin in February, and life is good.